So I'm here with Daniel Steenkamer, who covers the FCS football for Hero Sports. Thank you for coming on. Obviously, we have a big game this Saturday. If 5 years ago you would have told URI fans that the football program would have two consecutive years like this, I don't know if they would believe you really. Can you talk a little bit just kind of how big this game is? Not just obviously from a URI and Delaware standpoint, but just, FCS football, CAA football in general.
Well, absolutely, Nate, and thank you for having me on. It really is the center of the attention in the FCS this week. URI and Delaware being the only ranked matchup within the top 25 this week. So certainly a game that has national implications in terms of shaking up the top 25 based on the outcome, but will also have playoff implications down the line. I mean, this is going to be a resume building win opportunity for either team, and for Delaware and Rhode Island, these two have had a tendency to meet. They find themselves meeting each other in games that do have high stakes, where both teams are ranked in the top 25. Really ever since about 2019 or so. And even in 2018, Rhode Island really, I thought, jump-started its reemergence or just resurgence as a program by beating Delaware on the road in that 2018 season opener. It was Rhode Island's first win against a ranked foe in recent memory. And I think that kind of jump-started the overall program and the rebuild led by Coach Jim Fleming. So these two really do have a history, I think, that goes back a few years now. I know Delaware is looking forward to getting back on the road for a fourth straight season to Kingston. But no, in the big picture, to speak again to your question, it truly is a huge game, not only within the CA, but in the FCS nationally.
Obviously coming into this year, high expectations for Delaware. Delaware, as they usually are, one of the stronger programs in the FCS. What do they bring to the table? What do you look for them to bring against URI this Saturday at 1?
Well, in the preseason, as far as Delaware is concerned, a lot of attention was placed on the UD offense and new head coach Ryan Carty. He's known for his offense being an OC at New Hampshire, as well as most recently at Sam Houston. And so he brings a new look offense to Delaware. Although the personnel, as a number of returnees who are experienced all CA players, you think starting at the top with quarterback Nolan Henderson, just go down the line. But the defense early on is really the strength of this Delaware team. Delaware's defense was really a big key in its extremely successful spring 2021 season that saw UD advance to the semifinals of the FCS playoffs, and that defense is largely intact. Manny Rojas is the defensive coordinator, and you talk to any Blue Hen defenders, they love playing for Coach Rojas, and he really has that full executive control now of the UD defense since Coach Carty is the OC and head coach and play caller, kind of all wrapped up in that role. Manny Rojas is really able to fully develop his 3-3-5 scheme on defense, and it's a secondary that's very experienced. You look at Kedrick Whitehead and Noah Plack at the safety spots, but then the linebacker group, Johnny Buchanan, had a big start to his season. He's a captain. He's a graduate student player for Delaware. He tied a school record with 23 tackles in a single game at Navy in that upset FBS win to open the year for Delaware. So it's a defense, I think, that really does carry the day for Delaware here early in the season. But what's interesting heading into this URI game is that the offense will need to not pick up the slack in a way, but just really demonstrate that it has an increasing mastery of this Ryan Carty offense, because you've seen big plays and spurts, and Ryan Carty likes to really emphasize explosive plays in his offense. But I think Delaware fans would like to see some more sustained drives, maybe control the clock a little bit, knowing you're still a pass first team, but control the clock and keep the ball at Kasim Hill's hands a bit, because Rhode Island has a strong offense of its own. So while defense is a focal point for Delaware, and I think is the team's strength on balance, offense is the point where Delaware fans are going to be placing a lot of scrutiny, especially at that offensive line spot.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm excited. I know all of URI is excited. Huge game. Looking forward to it. I appreciate you coming on and dropping the knowledge on us today. I appreciate it.
Oh, happy to. Thank you. Yes, sir. And I believe, a parting one last thought, offensive line I touched on briefly. I'd be remiss if I didn't emphasize it. Delaware's offensive line last in the CA in terms of sacks allowed, 9 sacks allowed through games versus Navy and versus Delaware State. Rhode Island will look to exploit that, especially after the big game they had getting sacks at Bryant. So I think that's where it all starts for UD, is up front. And yes, sir, appreciate you having me on once again, because it will be a huge one.